Today on Homeworthy, we're visiting interior designer Leanne Kilroy's London terraced house. After an extensive renovation, she transformed her family home into a bright and serene haven. Each room reflects her long-standing love of unique furnishings, a trait inherited from her father, who owned an antique furniture store her whole life. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Leanne Kilroy. Come on into my house in London. So this is the entryway to the house, and as with most Victorian terraced houses, it's very narrow and quite dark. So actually one original feature in the house that we absolutely loved was this archway. All of the houses in the terrace have it, and we were very lucky that the previous owners had installed this mirror. And so what it does is it makes it feel like we might actually have a room on that side. It just makes the hallway feel really, really big and bright. Our kids love to dance in front of it. Everyone loves to take a selfie in front of it. It's just a feature that I absolutely adore. And we kind of made it a little bit nicer by putting a piece of marble on the low original radiator, not original, but probably 1980s radiator. And it just makes the feel of the space a bit elegant and impressive right when you walk in. Another thing we loved about this house were the original details in the ceiling, and the hallway was no exception. So we've got amazing kind of cornicing and corbels on the ceiling, and this carries through the ground floor and up into the first floor as well. Another thing I love about this hallway is this sign, the neon sign that my husband gave me one year for an anniversary. It's a poem, it's a line of a poem that I absolutely adore, and I just think that he got pink was kind of perfect, and I really love it there. It just brings me joy every time I see it. What else? I love this pendant light. It's a Moravian star. It doesn't really cast that much light, unfortunately, but I love the way it sparkles in the hallway and just adds a little bit more light into what otherwise would be quite a dark space. One other little thing I love is just behind us here. It's this beautiful little plaster shelf that I got at a shop in Paris, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I just fell in love with it, completely fell in love with it. The shop is called Alix de Reny, and it's in Saint-Germain-du-Pré, and I just adore it. So every time I come in, I think about how much I love this silly little plaster shelf. We put a candle with our house number on the shelf, and actually when we light it, it makes the smell go all the way up through the house, through the stairwell. So yeah, these are just little things in the space that bring me a lot of joy. One other thing that I love is this little guy down here. He's a boot taker-offer. And I found him in Denmark in a flea market, and just another little quirky thing that I love about this hallway. We bought the house about 3 and a bit years ago. And when we did, it was a loved family home, but also a boarding house. So it had 7 bedrooms at the time, kind of the rooms were chopped up. The downstairs rooms were also being used as bedrooms, and it wasn't in the greatest shape. This floor in particular had carpet everywhere, and it was just a bit shabby. So when we moved in, the very first thing we did, like day one, is we ripped up all the carpets, and we discovered that there were beautiful, beautiful original floorboards underneath. In some spots, they needed a little bit of help, a little replacing, but in general, they're wonderful. So the way that we kind of made the original floors come back to life is we sanded them down so that they were raw, and then in most rooms in the house, we used a Danish lye to bleach them, essentially, and then we used a lacquer, a hard-wearing lacquer on top. So they have this Scandinavian clean feel to them, and I just adore them. We've also done the same to the stairs, and we tried, in the extension, which you'll see later, we tried to match the new flooring to the old without pretending that it was old flooring, because there's no point in pretending. Yeah, and the floors are some of my favorite bit in the house. They're a bit drafty, they're original, but you get what you get with an old house. Let's go into the living room. now we're in the living room. This is a really traditional front room of a London terraced house. We're in the middle of a terrace, so all of the houses next to us we're all kind of joined together as townhouses, and we're all exactly the same house. We were lucky enough to have an original fire surround in this house when we moved in, but we didn't even know it was there because this room was just so covered in stuff and televisions and everything. We weren't even sure if that was going to be in the room, and we were very lucky that it was. We haven't really done anything to it actually, so it's the original everything. It could use a little bit of restoration, but we just haven't gotten there yet. We completely fell in love with the ceiling in this room, so we did replaster it, but when we were doing that, I made sure that the builders secured the original cornicing and rows so that they wouldn't fall down. I was just completely in love with the cornicing, which is just as beautiful in the adjacent room. When we bought the house, this room was completely closed off from that room because they were being used as bedrooms. So I found these doors on eBay actually, and we built this opening to fit them. And it's a little bit off center actually because we had to make sure that this could swing open and still allow for a piece of furniture in the corner. So that's why it's a little bit quirky, but it works for us. And we can always close them off if the kids want to have their kind of private space in the middle. We can close the doors, and then we have kind of two separate spaces if we need to. So something to know about me is that my dad had an antique furniture store for my whole life in Boston, and it closed during the pandemic. And so my whole kind of childhood and upbringing was always quite full of really lovely furniture. And so furniture has a really special place in my heart, and a lot of it comes from him. So this beautiful mid-century desk, I got that on a trip with my dad in Denmark. We just fill it with kind of mementos and family photos. And this sofa as well, this amazing mid-century sofa, which has been upholstered in lamb's wool. It's also from a trip to Denmark with my dad. He gave me this beautiful post office, which I use as like a little children's bookcase when I went off to university many, many moons ago. And I've always taken it around the world with me. And this is also another piece from him. It's a bar cart. It's a little bit tricky to open, but it's full of all the booze in the house. And I just think it's just such a special spot, special little piece, and just a really nice thing to have in a terraced house, especially with these alcoves that you kind of have to fill. I really adore this bar cart. Other bits and bobs that I love are the houseplants. I have a lot of them, as you will see, and I just tend to grow them from cuttings, and they bring me a lot of joy, especially in the depth of a British winter, which can be very, very dark. Another little bit that I love is this lampshade from Matilda Gode, and it's on a separate base. Another special bit in this room is this ottoman from my friend Jody at the house upstairs. She's so brilliant for kind of bespoke pieces. I just adore her, and the fabric is from Buchanan Studio. I am not the kind of person who upholsters things for myself, usually just for clients, but I just love the house upstairs and Buchanan Studio so much. So that's something that I love and try to keep the cat from scratching every single day. Another bit I love in the whole house, I have them everywhere, are jute rugs. I just cannot recommend them enough. I use them everywhere. They're inexpensive. They're very hard wearing. And I love the texture and feel they add to a room. So jute rugs, you will see them everywhere in this house. They're just my favorite way to cover a floor. So with these big Victorian bay windows, which are amazing and let in so much light, there comes the issue of privacy. So what I did kind of at the tail end of a long reno with no money left, I bought some really inexpensive fabric. They're actually curtains, and I cut them and just hemmed the bottom with hemming tape. It was the easiest DIY, and I love it so much. I use them all throughout the house. This is from Habitat, and I think it cost £12. So in terms of getting kind of made to measure cafe curtains for a big bay window, I think we did pretty well. And in fact, these curtains are also quite budget. They're from H&M Home. They look like linen, but they're not. And I love the way the light shines through them. I think it's really, really pretty. In fact, this whole room is really light and bright. It's a south-facing room. We're so lucky to have the light coming in almost all of the time. And this wall color actually, I was going for kind of like a dirty, natural gray. And when I actually put it on the wall, it has a blue seafoam undertone. and it is so wonderful. I just love it. It wasn't what I expected. It wasn't what I was planning, but I love it anyway. I love it so much. Another thing that kind of makes the room feel brighter is the original skirting boards, which I think are called floorboards in America, but I'm not sure, are quite high, and they were stripped already when we moved in, actually. So I just kind of gave them a whitewash in order to kind of lighten everything and bring it just like a little bit to be the same color as the doors and the floors. I did the same with the window frame. Yeah, they're not exactly the same tones, but it really doesn't bother me. This is a really old house. It's lived so many lives. So I really like the stories that all of these different kind of woods and textures and patterns tell. So these maps, we've got one in each alcove. They're really special. I love them. They're just off Etsy, but they show kind of our neighborhoods of London, the neighborhoods that we've lived in. And these are Charles Booth poverty maps. A lot of people actually have them because they're so lovely. I think in around the late 1898, Charles Booth and a bunch of people went around London and marked which streets were lived in by which class of people. It was a way of kind of shedding light on the poverty in Victorian London, and I just find them so fascinating. So these are just kind of prints I had made off Etsy. I framed them myself off an online framer. So really inexpensive way to kind of make the room feel a bit more elegant and bring a little bit of like our neighborhood to the room, which I really love. Okay, shall we go into the library now? So I call it a library, but it's definitely a kid's room. This is where our kids play and write and play the piano and watch TV. This was a bedroom when we moved in, and it had kind of a big window leading to the garden outside. So we built these built-in bookcases to house our collection of books and all the kids' toys and things like that. I love that when you walk into the house, if you're gonna come into this room, the first thing you see is this just beautiful wall of books. I love it. I love books. I think that they are a beautiful way to make a house feel like a home. And I love how the bookcases are kind of stacked quite close together. So I like that feeling of being overstuffed. I really like it. This mantle is also original. When we moved in, it was covered in beige paint, and it took me many, many days to strip. But I'm glad I did. It's the original slate, and I just think it's really charming. Again, we haven't really touched the tiles or the insert, so it's not as beautiful maybe as a modern home would be, but I just think it would be a shame to rip them out, even though I think they are technically ugly. I think that they tell a wonderful story, so they are staying. So as an interior designer, I always listen to the house first. The house has to work for the family, for the people that live in it, but you have to be true to the bones of the house, and this house has such good bones. So again, the cornicing in this room, the fireplace, the floorboards, even these like ugly tiles, I think they're all part of the bones and the fabric of the house. So as a designer, I really like to listen to what's around, the flow, the feel, the light, and I really try to keep what you can keep. I would never remove something original if we don't have to. If it's working and it's okay, I always try to keep it. I think that those are the kind of things, the layers, the charm, even the grit that make a house feel really, really special. In every kind of London terraced house, there's a middle room. Everyone calls it the middle room, and it's always so dark. Either it's a passageway to get from one room to the other, or it's a dead end, and often it's just kind of an afterthought. So we wanted to avoid the afterthought. We wanted to put the TV in this room because then we knew it would get a lot of use. And we knew that our kids, we have 3 kids, we knew that they would want a place that was kind of their own. So we decided that the middle room would be it. That means if we're in the kitchen, which is down there, we could be kind of close at hand, but they could also have their own space. So our kids do pretty much everything here. We have 3 girls. They play with their Slovenian families. They read, they watch TV, they fight. They do all of the things kids do. And yet it can also be kind of an elegant room if we wanted it to, with all of the books, with the original cornicing, and we have a new piano. Our youngest likes to play piano. So the room is really, really, really multifunctional, and it gets so much use. It's probably the second most used room in the house after the kitchen. We're not too fussy about it. We brought this sofa over from America when we moved here about a decade ago, It is disgusting, but I don't mind. The kids use it, the cat uses it. We just kind of let them be kids in this room. The rug is really, really cheap from La Redoute. It's a very old coffee table that they kind of spill and draw on, and we just kind of let them be kids in this room, and that's really nice. So now let's go into the kitchen and dining room, and I'll show you what we did in there. Okay, so now we're in the kitchen. This is my favorite spot in the house. I love it very, very much. When we moved in, it was not like this at all. In fact, we added this entire extension on with the glazed roof, with the glass roof. It's quite common to do this in a terraced house. This is called a side return extension. And we knew from the very beginning that we wanted to have a full ceiling of glass because typically, everyone knows England is very dark and cold, and I think having all of this glass is just the most amazing way to bring the outside in and bring the sun in. We also added this little extension on the end and added a lot of glass everywhere to kind of bring in the light, make it feel connected to the outside. You can tell where the original kitchen was because it's the flat ceiling up here. So this was the original kitchen of the house. It was really cold and really, really dark. It's north facing. It was really damp and actually really unpleasant to be in. So opening everything up to the west kind of brings in all that afternoon sun, and it's just a joy. We feel really, really lucky to have this as our kitchen. We're also very keen cooks. So I designed the kitchen to really be a cook's kitchen and really, really work for a family of 5 and constant entertaining. So this was actually original to, not the original to the house, but when we bought the house, this was already here. It was over there where the kitchen was, and we decided to keep it just for budgetary reasons. It's on its last legs. I think it's about 20 years old, but still going and still working, so that's fine. One feature I love and I think is quite unusual, but I just really stick by it, is this massive catering sink that I had made to measure with a big stainless steel backsplash. We have, as I mentioned, 3 kids, we cook a lot, and I love a double bowl sink. I love also not having to worry about anything. So having something like stainless steel where you can drop a glass, it's not gonna break, it's not gonna scratch. It's just the hardest working thing in the house, and I love it so, so much. Another really hard-working thing is this worktop. Everyone thinks it's marble, but it's actually quartzite, which is a natural stone, but much tougher than marble. It doesn't stain, it doesn't scratch, and it's beautiful. It has a lovely leathered finish, and it's another thing that I adore about this house. What else? We've got this amazing island, which looks like it's old, but we actually had it made. I designed it, and my good friends at Monkey and Bird made it. It is made to fit our pans, our trays. It's just a joyful piece. So it looks like an old shop counter, but it's just a modern piece made to look old by brilliant artisans who make brilliant furniture. Okay, so we've moved around the world quite a lot, and the things that we take with us are few, but some things that I have taken are my Le Creuset pots, which are over here, and I knew I wanted them on display. I didn't want to kind of hide them away, so we designed the island to display my collection of Le Creusets. They are really expensive pots, but I tend to get mine, surprise, surprise, on eBay, and they're actually incredibly affordable. So I've just got this massive guy last year, and I think he was about 50 pounds. So I tend to troll eBay a lot for the flame colored Le Creuset, and I just love the way that they pop in an otherwise quite neutral space. So another thing that I really wanted to incorporate in the kitchen was a place where I could close the doors and keep kind of the hustle, the bustle, the breakfast stuff closed away. We were told many times that we wouldn't be able to fit it into our kitchen, but I insisted that we do. And I knew it would work in my head, and it just works so well in real life. So this is the pantry. I found these doors on eBay again, and I had the opening made to measure to fit the doors. I brought these knobs back from my mother-in-law's house in Massachusetts, and we actually have knobs from our parents' houses all over the house, which I think is really a lovely touch. They were stripped already, but I gave them a whitewash as well, just to like bring all the tones of the wood closer together. And this architrave was actually the original architrave of the window that we removed to connect the kitchen to the library. So this is our pantry. Let's see which state it is in. Okay, it's not so bad. Right, so we kind of designed it to fit our life. And I really encourage clients when we're designing things like this in pantries and cupboards that we design it to fit their life and their needs. So we designed a shelf specifically for mugs, just the exact height you need for a mug, specifically for these ball jars that we brought back from the States, and specifically to kind of stack these bol mamar jars. So there's no space wasted. And it's a big space because we have high ceilings, but it's actually not a massive space. So we really needed to think strategically about storage. So this is where kind of breakfast happens. We've got our toaster, our kettle, our coffee machines. We've got a microwave hidden under here, and kind of a lot of junk is under this skirt, which my mother-in-law made for me. And we painted this kind of space, what my husband called a really ugly color, but I actually think having a bright, earthy color in an otherwise quite kind of beige kitchen, it just brings me a lot of joy, and I really like it. And I love the way that this cloth that I found at a discount fabric store back home really talks to the mustard paint color. And yeah, I love this pantry. I think it's really, really useful and really, really cute. Okay, so another unusual thing that we did in this kitchen is rather than have an integrated refrigerator, which was going to be a bit too expensive, or just have a freestanding one, we decided to box in the fridge. I really love it. I think it kind of makes the fridge disappear, but we're not pretending that it's not a fridge. And it was a much less expensive way to kind of semi-conceal a refrigerator. I also really like that the fridge is off to the side and not part of the kind of heart of the kitchen. I always do this in my kitchen designs. I think that refrigerators, we use them a lot less than we think we do. And when we do use them, it's quite quick. So I like to keep them off to the side. And I just love that it's kind of tucked away here. So it's not the thing that you're looking at all the time, because refrigerators are not as beautiful as joinery or millwork or something like that. So then next to the fridge, we've got this wall, which I love very much. I just love this part of the kitchen. We had the idea that we wanted this space, which is entirely new, to feel a bit old and like it belonged to the house. So we put this very simple kind of paneling up the wall, and then we stopped it here and put these Amazon pegs up and painted it all. We got this idea from a rental we lived in London, and we just thought it was the most like charming wall that you could have. So it looks like it's original. It looks really old, but it's just simple MDF kind of beadboard and timber pegs from Amazon. And it just means that we can display different things. We can move this all around. Just really, really like it. It makes me feel, yeah, like we can kind of have art that's always changing, and the kids can put up stuff and move it around. I'm just like, yeah, I like it a lot. Another thing over here that I adore is this piece. It's an apothecary from Denmark. And again, it was from my dad. It is just such a special piece. And actually, believe it or not, every single drawer is full. And I have a weird memory for it. So I sometimes don't get the drawer exactly right, but I know in general where I'm looking for something. So we keep everything in here. Everything from the kids' shoes to kind of hot plates to matches to elastic bands to hair ties to batteries, everything. Like the whole kind of detritus of life is stored in this piece. So it's just such a useful piece, and I just think it's stunning. I love it, and I will always have it with me. It's the thing I would save in a fire if the house caught fire. I always joke that I would carry it out myself. What else? We've got some sweet little pictures of us and the kids and friends and my dad back in the day. And then we've got this cabinet, which again, I just found these doors on eBay. I knew we needed a place to display things like glassware that wouldn't fit on our open shelving. So I found these doors, and we just have this cupboard kind of made to fit them. And it's another thing that looks original to the house, but is completely new. But because we didn't restore the doors, it just has this lovely lived-in feel that I really, really like. And that brings us to the dining area, which is right here. We had originally thought, because it's kind of a 3-meter by 3 meter extension onto the original kitchen. And that was kind of what was permitted by our municipality, our council, to add on to the kitchen without getting permission. So it's not massive. And so we thought maybe we'll build kind of an L-shaped bench and have it upholstered, and we'll have a kind of an L-shaped banquette. I found this unbelievable wavy bench being sold by these sellers called Stowaway London. I loved the wave. I loved how unique it was. So I essentially just bought it and we made it work. So we kind of designed the space around the bench. We had the table already. I made sure that they would fit, like physically fit. But otherwise it was just, I just fell in love with it, and I knew we had to have it. This table, again, we got it from my dad. It's an antique Danish piece. And we tend to really like these just kind of plastic chairs with a lot of kids and just a lot of hustle and bustle. I love how they kind of disappear. They're a little bit modern, but they're also really classic. So I just adore how all of these pieces kind of fit together and also connect us with these massive windows to the garden. And my houseplants, also so many houseplants. I tend to, I don't know, they just tend to like find me, and they also provide a connection to the garden, especially in the winter when it's really quite dreary in England. Okay, so it was important to us when designing this extension, a side return extension, that we had a connection to the garden. So you can kind of come out this way. Can I show you? So this garden was just rubble when we bought the house. There was nothing in it. It was a few dying trees that we had to unfortunately take down. So it was just a blank slate, and we had almost no money at the end of the renovation. So we had the middle part paved, and I planted just so many plants on the borders. And we put in this amazing arch, and this jasmine, the star jasmine, is just really starting to come into its own and grow up and over. We also have 6 varieties of English roses planted, and the most amazing variety this year is this one. It's the James Galway, and it's just amazing. Yeah, I always kind of dreamt of having an English rose garden, and David Austin roses they're just incredible. And we also have this amazing sofa, which was a gift from Sun's Lifestyle. It is honestly the most comfortable thing we own. We tend to sit out here much more than inside in the summer. And we really do eat out here every single night. We just have this amazing umbrella from Plea, I think it's called. Just a beautiful, beautiful parasol. So the garden is slowly coming together. It's always been a little bit of an afterthought, but I just absolutely adore gardening. I love getting my hands dirty, and I will show you the front garden later. It's just the newest project that we've done in the house, and I'm really proud of it. So now we're gonna go upstairs, but before we do, I just wanna talk a little bit about this hallway. So this is another instance where we did something that maybe wasn't advised. So rather than come down from the entry level into kind of the original kitchen level, which is down 5 stairs. It's kind of traditional to have that kind of level difference in these terraced houses. We created a kind of a long and dark hallway because we knew we needed different kind of spaces, and we didn't know how else to fit them. So we have an entry to a very, very Victorian basement there. We have a lovely big coat and shoe closet here, and then we have a small toilet here. So I think maybe what would have been an inclination to kind of open it all up and just make this space part of the kitchen and quite open and big, we kind of listened to what we needed as a family, which was storage for kind of coats and bags and hats and shoes. We needed a toilet, and this long and dark hallway, which everyone told us would kind of be unpleasant. Actually, it works really, really well, and we're really happy that we did it. And a little bit of the hallway that I love are these stairs. They were here when we got the house, and I painted them my favorite red, which is a RAL color. It's called RAL 3004. And I think it's wine red, which might have something to do with it, but I just love it, and I use it throughout the house. It's my favorite red, and yeah, it just brings a lot of joy walking up my red steps. So let's go upstairs. So these are the stairs. We decided not to put a runner, not to do too much to them. We've just kind of sanded them back, brightened them with lye, and lacquered them. These are actually Christmas lights that I just tend to keep up all year long. They go all the way to the top of the house. It's kind of a 4.5-story house. And we keep them on as night lights for the kids at night because they just make sure no one's gonna fall down the stairs. Yeah, we like the natural wood. We like how there's different tones, and we like how it all just tells the story of a very old house. Here we are on the first floor landing. In these old terraced houses, you often have kind of like a normal floor and then a half floor and then a floor and then another half floor. So this is a half floor. It sits directly above what the original kitchen was. And we decided to carve out of this landing a very useful laundry room. We really wanted to have the laundry machines kind of closer to the bedrooms and not in the kitchen, which is quite traditional in England. So we just kind of carved it out. We were very lucky that there's already a window here, and we stacked our very simple machines here. Actually, there was no floor. There still is no floor under this vinyl. There is just plywood. There was just, I don't know, the floor was gone for some reason. So we put vinyl on top. It's waterproof, it's inexpensive, and it's very sweet. And my dad actually came one year and painted all of the trim in Sudbury Yellow by Farrow & Ball, and just a really sweet, lovely little room. We framed up some prints that we got in Maine, in a flea market in Maine. And there's this amazing sink that, again, I was on eBay one night and I probably had too many glasses of wine and I bid on this sink and I accidentally won it for about maybe 20 pounds. And then I had to figure out how to get it here. But anyway, long story short, it fits perfectly in this room. It's so useful and it's very, very charming. It looks like it was made for this space. So let's go up to our bedroom and to our bathroom. This is our bedroom. So we recently did the bedroom and the bathroom. That was kind of phase 2 of our renovations. We had to do our renovations in stages because we tend to kind of eat what we kill, in the sense that we just save up enough to do a renovation and then we have to save up again. So this was the most recent kind of big project that we did. This room, again, has the incredible cornicing and the original ceiling rose, which we just had to keep. So we had to replaster the ceiling, unfortunately, but we made sure that all of the original details would be kept. So because this room is quite large, we knew that we needed to break it up in order to have a closet space like this. We also kind of liked the idea of a cozier bedroom. So what we decided to do is we had these wardrobes built and had all of these drawers built on this side of the room. There's a window there, so there's like already kind of its own dignity. It has its own dignity as a space and it has a lot of natural light. And then we used the back of this piece as a headboard, or we used it as a wall against which to put our headboard. We also decided to have a circular flow. I really like circular flow. So we have it downstairs, we have it many spaces upstairs, so that we just avoid dead ends in general. I'm not a huge fan of a dead end. I think that when you're in a house, being able to move from one space to the next in various ways is just, it has a nice feeling to it. So you can kind of go into the bedroom this way, or you can go in this way. And so our bedroom area is a little more intimate. We're not kind of looking at any wardrobes. We're not looking at any clothing. We are looking instead at this fireplace, which was not here when we moved in. We actually found that on the side of the road, and I made my husband carry it. It was in 11 different pieces, and I made him carry it home. In this room, again, we've got an amazing bay window just like downstairs. Kato, our cat, really likes it up here. It's quiet and it's warm. And then we also had this glass that the previous owner, the mirror, the previous owner had put it in. I wasn't sure what to do with it. I didn't know if I should take it out. I didn't know. So what we did is we just put a very simple molding around it, and I kind of like it. It just, again, I always like to leave things as they are if possible. I got this really, really, really sweet vanity with a marble top from Shiny Things London. Again, an Instagram seller who I adore. My first rose I cut from the garden is there. That's a Bathsheba rose, I think it's called, by David Austin. And What else? In this alcove, we've got just a beautiful piece of pine that I actually got in England, but it reminds me of the furniture I grew up with. My dad his bread and butter was antique pine like this. And then this leads us into our bathroom. So these two rooms were completely separate spaces when we got the house. They were both bedrooms. In fact, our youngest, Domino, slept here for a few years. But we knew that we wanted to have kind of an ensuite bathroom, but we also wanted it to be a family bathroom. So we put a doorway in here, and we kept the doorway that the bathroom already had to the hall. And again, it's just like an example of circular flow. It means that if you're in the bathroom, you don't have to exit through the bedroom. You don't have to disturb someone who's sleeping. And if you're in the hall, you don't have to come through the bedroom to get to the bathroom. So again, circular flow, I love it. I try to use it everywhere I can. So come on into the bathroom and I will show you around. So our idea with this bathroom is we wanted it to be really elegant. We didn't have a ton of money to do it. And we also wanted it to feel like any other room in the house. We didn't want it to be too sterile or cold, as bathrooms so often can be. So one thing that I really wanted to avoid is tile. I'm not a huge user of tile or fan of tile. So rather than tile, we used micro cement. We used it in this shower enclosure, which we kind of just built 2 stud walls, and we covered everything in micro cement. It is just such an amazing material. It feels kind of soft and warm to the touch. It's waterproof. It's so easy to clean. It's really a dream. So yeah, I just adore this massive walk-in shower, all covered in micro cement. We used some marble tiles on the floor there, but otherwise we just kind of avoided tile in a bathroom, which I think is quite tricky to do. One other thing in this room that we kind of knew we needed, being in England, was a clawfoot tub. Again, another eBay purchase. I just painted it to match the color of the walls, which is Portland Stone Light by Paint and Paper Library. We didn't restore it or anything. It just is what it is. It's wonderful. I love it. We decided to stick it into the middle of the room after kind of a lot of discussion about layout, and I think it really works. You actually don't need that much space in the bathroom to move around. You're not kind of doing exercises in here. So it kind of is the centerpiece. It's quite low down. We just adore it. Another thing we love is the marble. So I use my trusted marble guys. Hi, James and Luke from PGQ. And we put massive backsplashes behind each sink. We also did the skirting in the room in marble, except for this part, which is the original skirting. Because there was no skirting in this room originally. It had been removed a long time ago. And I didn't quite know how I was going to connect the micro cement to the original floorboards. So we actually had a little bit of marble left over, and on the day of install, they just cut it in their van for me. It was really, really amazing. And it's a detail that I really love. This fireplace wasn't here. So when this room was a bedroom, this was actually kind of a big desk area, and we reinstated a fireplace, mostly for decorative purposes, but I feel like it gives the room a bit of soul, and it reflects what might have been here originally. It's a very, very inexpensive fire surround from Screwfix. I think it cost about £100. And we put a bit of an offcut of marble on top, and it just gives it a little bit of elegance and elevates it. We also used unlacquered brass everywhere. This is all from Cast Iron Bath Company. Again, it just kind of adds a feeling of age and charm and really works, I think, in an English bathroom. One other thing in this room that I think is quite unusual for a bathroom is the window dressing. So we had this lovely window, and I just didn't want it to feel too cold and too sterile again. So my friend Lindsay actually helped me make these curtains. We went to a maker and she helped me kind of design how they would all work. She's just incredible. We went to a shop in Goldsmith Road in West London and bought all the fabric and carried it home, and it just feels like just a lovely, warm, unique part of the bathroom. The same cafe curtain here as downstairs. It's the same cheap Habitat fabric, and Kato likes to go outside this way. The last thing that I'll talk about in this bathroom are the towel radiators. So in England, we love our towel radiators because it's very damp and cold, but I just couldn't find any in unlacquered brass that were affordable. and pretty. So what I did is I went onto Etsy and I went to, I think it's Bow Street Crafts, and he makes unbelievable copper towel rads to measure. And here's another one. They kind of serve as the radiators in the room, and they also serve to keep your towels dry and toasty, and your clothes if you're getting dressed, your pajamas, whatever it is. I just think they're so beautiful. They're kind of tarnishing a little bit with age, which I love. They're really, really affordable, and they're just another part of the bathroom that I adore. This is our girls' bathroom. We've got 3 girls, and we did a really fun bathroom for them. When we moved in, this was actually the boarders' kitchen, so the kitchen that was used by the people renting rooms. And we were really lucky to have it, because when we did the big renovation downstairs, we used this as our kitchen for 8 months. And it had everything we needed. It had a stove and a refrigerator and a washing machine, so we were set. So in this room, again, I tried to keep it warm. I really don't like bathrooms that feel too sterile. So we kept the original floorboards. Actually, we haven't restored them at all. This was how this room was. We haven't filled in any gaps. We haven't even sanded them back. That's for another time. We just kind of ran out of steam. I used the same RAL 3004 on the architrave and the door. I just really love the combination of pink and red. It's a classic, and I think it really works in a fun bathroom like this. And that's reflected in this amazing shower curtain from Colors of Arley, which has kind of the same exact tones. We used a lovely pink on the walls called Plaster 3 by Paint and Paper Library, and then we filled the rest of the room with kind of antique bits. So we've got this amazing little chest, another one here, and it's kind of where our girls keep all of their bits and bobs, their bathroom bits, and another stool in pine. So it's just kind of like a warm room that doesn't feel too sterile and isn't too precious. Another lovely thing about this room is the pink grout. I mentioned I'm not really massive on tile, but we were really at the end of our budget. There was no way we were going to put micro cement in here. So we got the cheapest tiles possible, and then we just dyed normal white grout with Hemway grout powder, and we made it kind of bright magenta. And it's just a really fun little feature. Another thing I love about this room is this cafe curtain, which is from Marl Studio. It's just so sweet, and the colors kind of reflect our fun stripy towels from H&M and the pink walls, and it makes the room feel quite warm and inviting, which is difficult to do in a bathroom, I think. So another way that we were kind of saving money in this room, because we really were at the end of a long renovation, is I bought these lampshades off of Amazon, and I painted them myself with the paint testers, which we had way too many of. And we did another one right over there. So we've got kind of fun painted lampshades that cost almost nothing. Another way was we bought 2 large format tiles to form a backsplash rather than tiling something or having a bespoke piece of marble made. I think altogether this was about 30 pounds, and it cost nothing for the builders to kind of just stick it up. So it was just a nice way to protect the wall and also save a bit of money at the end of a very, very long renovation. I also love this piece from She Paints. It's Giovanotti Lyrics, an Italian song that we love, an Italian artist that we really love. And I love how the colors tie into the pink as well. In true English fashion, it just started to rain, but I wanted to show you my front garden really quick. So this is the very last thing that we've done. This used to be just a gravel pit, and I had long dreamt of creating a very sweet kind of evergreen garden out here. So we've just completed a few months ago. The planting is all really, really new, and I'm just so happy with how it turned out. We used clay pavers here to kind of bring the eye up to the front door. So the blue matches the blue of the front door, and the red border matches kind of the red arch of the front door entryway. We've got jasmine planted here and here and here. So hopefully in the summer, it's just gonna smell amazing when you walk down the front path. We've got an amazing bike shed from the Bike Shed Company. It's so beautiful, and it finally means that we have a place to put all of our bikes. We've got Kato, the cat, who likes to sit on it when it's not raining. And then we've just got this amazing array of evergreens that I planted in the front. and in the window boxes, and I'm just really excited about this. I think after having kind of a gravel pit as a front garden for the first 3-something years of living here, I'm just really, really happy to have another place where I can get my hands dirty. So for me, what makes a house a home is wherever my family is, and I think that this house really reflects us as a family. It really works for us as a family. I just think spaces need to kind of be in conversation with the people who live in them, and I really feel like our home reflects who we are.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.